Hello, hello! Welcome to another Darkest Dungeon modded class guide. This is the second episode of my 2025 Advent Calendar of classes, and we're looking at none other than the Ringmaster. She took it from the Butcher's Circus and became a hero. So here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at whether the Ringmaster is actually a class you should be downloading. I think it is. Not to bury the lead, and we're doing that by looking at her stats, her skills, her camping skills, and some trinketing. Mostly her class trinkets and then how I would trinket her. One thing I want to talk about first, though, and I normally wouldn't do this, is I want to just commend the art. Let's look at this Vestal. Take a notice to the shading. Like, I'm looking at her hand, her breastplate armor, and the shadows are all in the same spot. Like, same thing with her hood. The shadows are all in the same spot. Now, when I look at the Ringmaster, like, I'm looking at this cuff here, I'm looking at this front part on the armor, or on the top, or on the mace. Like, the shading is different. Like, it's not here on the forehead, it's on the crown, the arm. The shading is here, gets back over here, like on the mace, and the way it all looks. Like, now you got the matte finish, and it's back over here. Wow, like, I don't know, I'm no artist, but that to me just seems like it speaks of extra volume. So I just wanted to actually take a little bit of a quick shout out to the art team on that. So props to them for just making something so good. Now let's actually talk about her stats, because that's what we're here for, right? We're not looking at the art all day. The Ringmaster has basically trash HP and mediocre dodge, mediocre speed and relatively high crit and relatively moderate damage. So she's basically base stats wise average. Her stats over here to her resistances, she has really good stun resist. 110 is good, and she's got really good bleed resist, and she's got a little bit higher death blow resist. But otherwise she's got some pretty bad move and trap and debuff and disease. So in some ways she's really good. I mean, she's got average blight, so that's not a problem. But so the big ones, you know, she's got the big ones where they need to be. She's got more death blow, so you don't die, stun, really good bleed, and then you know, average blight. So far, not great, not bad. Okay, what I want to talk about with the Ringmaster is that she's got a bit of an identity crisis. She's got 7 really cool skills, but they don't all seem to combo in the way that I would want them to. So let's go through that. We've got this one, Last Laugh. It's not great accuracy, decent crit. A lot of her things, she has 9 base crit, plus 9, plus 9, plus 11. Those are actually her only 3 attacks. So 18 to 20% crit, that's very good. This one is your classic front 2 rows, hits the front 2 rows, applies a bleed. You get 100% crit modifier if they're almost dead. So that's more damage, that's good. I don't care about the extra crit on bleed if they're low HP. I do not care if they're bleeding for longer, because they'll already be dead. The only time that would ever come into effect would be a high HP bleedable boss in the first 2 rows, with multiple actions per turn. Next, Flummox. Flummox is a stun that can be used in 2, 3, 4. So far the only combo that you could have would be row 2, right? And what's actually really good about Flummox is it's a double stun, because what it does is it's a potential double stun, is it does a little bit of damage, and it debuffs speed. Now, what that's helpful for is, let's say you have a cultist acolyte on 7 speed, and you stun her. Well, that's 1 turn of stun. If you debuff her speed, now she's at 2 speed. Well, look at that. I have 6, so I'm actually going to beat her again. So in a way, it's like a double stun without having to go into the increased stun resist. So this is an excellent ability. Grand Entrance can hit any row from the back 2 and pulls you forward. So you can't use this in the mace at the same time, but clearly what you would do is you would do this and then you would get in mace range. You get plus 25% damage on the first round. This has your full damage mod. So it's, about 13 on average damage with 20% crit total, and you do some knockback. Okay, that's not bad. If you do this in row 3, from row 3, you get into row 1. So that's valuable because your next ability here, Kneel, is only in row 1. Now, I have a couple of problems with some of these other abilities, but so far this is a standard kit. Yeah, I'd probably throw them in I'd probably start with row 4. And then I would either Grand Entrance and go into Flummox and Last Laugh, or I would stun and I would lose my first round bonus, but I would still want to be stunning people. So like this to me is fine. Like I understand the synergy here between these three. Okay. But let's now go into this. We got some Jester-like abilities where you got some movement and fancy plays. Kneel. You pull somebody 3, you buff your own speed and you buff your damage. So you're going to get 11 speed, massive damage. Only usable in row 1. And consequently, you're buffing the mace. That's what you're doing. You're pulling somebody 3 so that you can buff the mace. You're breaking guard. So whoever it needs to be, you can kill him. I guess you could do this turn 1. Theoretically, instead of killing a row 4 enemy in turn 1 by Grand Entrancing them with and just zerging them, you could kneel and kill them at the start of turn 2. I don't know how much I like that. I'd rather just kill them, but it's something. Next, this one, I'm gonna go into this next one, and then we'll talk about these last. Take a bow once per battle. This is like finale. It's the finale part without the damage. So you are in row 1, 2. You go back 3. You stress heal your allies. That's cool, I guess. And then you debuff yourself for 1 battle, and you give yourself the same buff. So that actually cancels out. So this battle, you're the same as where you were, as far as I understand. But the next battle, you now have 20% damage, 10 accuracy, and 8 crit. That's huge. You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge 20% damage, 10 accuracy. So you would be able to end there. And you can do this in 1, 2. So you could do bump, 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 bump. And then so you Grand Entrance, and then you Last Laugh, smack, 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 stun, and then it's the last turn, everything's kind of over, and you do this. Okay, that's valid. That's valid. Here's my problem with that, though, is this ability here. Barry and Leon is a stress heal for -9, which is a very strong stress heal, and you buff yourself for increased stress heal, so you actually would heal like 10 or 11 the next times, right? So I want this, right? And I can't do this from row 1, so I therefore would be like bum 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 bum. Like I would be taking this, 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 and this. But now here's what I've got, is I've got this thing to buff my damage, but the only damaging ability I have at this point is the mace. That only hits rows 1 and 2. Because buffing my damage on Flummox, I don't care about that, right? I don't care about that. It doesn't do any damage. So I'd be buffing the damage on the mace. But I don't care about killing. We all know this is Darkest Dungeon 201. I don't care about the row 2 enemies. The big ones I need to kill are in the back. So this now makes me want to take Grand Entrance, because I could smack somebody for plus 20% damage, 25% damage on row 1. I could really do some harm to an enemy in any row from that way. So what am I dropping, though? I can't drop this thing. I can't do this, because what happens then is you Grand Entrance into row 2. Unless you somehow get yourself into row 3 again, you're like stuck, because once you're in row 2, all you can do is stress heal and do this and Flummox people. So you're in a bind. I don't really want to drop the double stun, because the double stun's really good, I guess. I don't really want to drop the stress heal, because the stress heal is really good too. So this ability kind of makes me stuck. Because if you're following my logic, like I want to have the row 4 damage, I want to have the double stun, and I want to have the stress heal. But then it's like, I kind of need to have some damage, so I'm like just kind of stuck into playing this. So this doesn't really get played much. I've forgotten about Neil in its entirety, and I haven't even gotten to this skill. So what the heck is this thing got to be? This has got to be the best thing in the whole earth, because I'm already struggling with trying to pick these 4 skills. I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm just really playing out the logic as if I was a first-time player with this. Let's look at that last skill. And we're going to see that it doesn't actually affect my decision-making all that much. What it is it's a buff to another hero on your roster for 25% damage and 12% crit. In a 3-turn hallway battle, I don't want to spend my turn doing 25% damage. Because you know what I would rather have done on turn 1 is I would rather have just grand entrance to them. And just, the 25, whatever buff I could have given my ally is probably equivalent or weaker than the damage I could be doing on my own turn by hitting somebody when the trapeze, right? So I would do more damage on my own attack than I would via this buff. So this is like an endless mode ability. That's where this is helpful, is an endless mode ability or a boss or something where you need to have a longer term fight. So in that case, I totally get why you would want this. So if you're playing endless mode, you would probably do this, you would probably do this, you would probably make them a row 2 character, and that's what you would do. Like, I see that. So maybe there's just a lot of edge cases for this, but honestly, like, let's run through it again. This is a strong stress heal. I don't want to give this up. This is a really strong stun. I don't want to give this up. I need to do some kind of damage. So if I do grand entrance, then I'm only doing it once, because then I'm out of range, unless I have this ability. If I get rid of this ability, I can only hit the first 2 rows, which just isn't valuable to me. So the first turn, I guess I'm stunning and I'm stress healing, which it just like doesn't feel good. I guess I could do that. So those are my thoughts on skills. It's a lot of, I just don't know. Let's go into camping skills now after that long spiel. We have a fun one. Fun! You get to produce a Ringmaster trinket. This mod comes with a whole bunch of trinkets. Basically, all of the Butcher's Arena trinkets get like kind of shifted over into the base game. So I always pick this because I love gambling. 15 dodge or 2 speed. That's okay. They can actually happen both times. I don't think it's... My understanding of the way percentages work, it's not a guarantee that it's one or the other. I think it's 2 50% chances that are independent of each other. So 25% chance of both, 25% chance of neither. Okay, that's fine. This is a huge win here. Minus 10 stress on all companions. That's for time cost 3. That's 30 stress for time cost 3 versus 15 stress for time cost 2 on an encourage. This one is a use case. Death blow resist is obviously the most important, but the least urgent of the things. Blight and bleed can be more urgent but less important depending on what you have. This one's kind of a meme. You might want this, you might not. You could go for this. Like, that's probably what I would do. Let's run through our trinkets. This one, the common trinket, sucks. This one also sucks. This one also sucks. Stun chance and shuffle is actually pretty valid. This is a legit trinket. I would run this. This is not something I would ever run. Friendly skill buffs your own speed. I don't know why I would really just don't want that. Usually I'd rather just take plus speed normally. This one here on Neil, this is where I lose it. I don't care about Neil. Neil was not one of the abilities I wanted to use, but let's just look at it anyway. Buff yourself for crit and stress relief. But you can't use your stress relief where you use Neil. So you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the row 1. You have to get your butt back into row 2 before you can even do this. So I don't want that. Sunward trinket. 10 accuracy. It looks like there's a typo here. When you hit somebody, you buff your friendly skills to also heal. And when you use friendly skills, you buff your damage. Okay. I like that. You are using this a whole lot, so you buff your damage. You're doing this, so you're actually healing people when you stress heal them. Okay. That's totally valid. It runs into the Crimson Court trinkets too. This is definitely the better of the ones. From these go Cure Blight, Bleed, and Apply Restoration. And they take less stress. So if you're needing to get somebody who's kind of down in the dumps, then you can not only stress heal them, but you can cure them and give them restoration to prevent them from blight bleeding, because it ticks first before the dot does, minus their stress. This is an excellent trinket. If you run that and run this together, like, that could be huge. The other half of the Crimson Court trinkets is less ideal, but it's okay. When you attack, you buff your own crit. When you crit, you lose that, so you have to restart again. But you heal yourself for 2 HP. The set bonus of 7 accuracy and 7 dodge. 7 accuracy is quite nice, and 7 dodge, in a class that's low HP is valuable. I would probably, if I was running only class trinkets, I would try and find this one, and I would try and find that one. But otherwise, this Flummox one here is okay. Speed, accuracy, damage, the classic ones for any damage dealer. Increased stress heal, increased dodge, increased stun chance. That would be the way you'd run her as a support. All in all, I'm not going through all of the Ringmaster trinkets. You can see them, a lot of them here. Or if I sort it by rarity, rather, I could show you more. There's a lot of them here. Basically, it's a lot of the ones from the base Butcher's Circus just kind of put into the game. And they're fun. So I would definitely go get that. I would probably run these camping skills. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do for the combat skills, and there's various ways to play this. So I love that the class actually is dynamic. There's not 4 only good skills, and it is one of those things where you have to use your brain to think about what you want to do. So I really do value that, and that's why I put this as the second class of my advent calendar, because it is truly a gift to get to play it and have to think through things through. I just think there's a little bit of an identity crisis, and I wish that some of the skills were a little bit reworked so that they'd be a little bit more harmonious with each other. Not that it would be broken, just a little bit more harmonious. But in any case, I absolutely recommend downloading the Ringmaster mod with the trinkets. It's very fun. This class is such high production value that it deserves a spot in your load order. All that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that I see you later on my channel. Peace out.